Hey guys, DesolatorMagic here, and it's time to touch on a topic that I mentioned in quite a few older videos. You guys have probably seen by now the two Planeswalker decks, which is like a new product that they just came up with. Okay, that's a little generous, and you'll see why, but anyway, I don't know much about the pre-made decks at all because I've never bought one, ever. But I do know that there is something called a sample deck, and those were supposed to be given out for free at stores. They were only like 30 cards. I have seen them and have played with them before, and they're kind of fun if you verse them against each other. And those are just for new people and casual, and they weren't actually playable in Standard, as far as I knew, or at least they weren't guaranteed to be. Well, I mean, a 30-card deck, that by itself isn't playable. But it was supposed to get people into it, like a free giveaway, and that's kind of cool. But I heard that stores, like, they either still had to pay for them, or they couldn't sell them, or they could sell them and then people would try to bring them to F&M and figure out that you actually needed a 60-card deck, so they were very unpopular. Then in the announcement that Wizards made about these new Planeswalker decks, they seem to have forgotten that they have something called an intro pack, or 5 of them actually. So anyway, after Wizards pretended that intro packs weren't a thing, they announced that that's what they're replacing. And really the whole announcement was a fraud, but I'm not even going to get into that. Intro packs were 60 card, as far as I could tell, 100% standard playable decks. They were 2 color, and they came with 2 booster packs as well. Now, the brand new invention that's replacing intro packs are a 60 card standard playable deck that also comes with 2 boosters. Hey, that sounds really familiar, like it's what I just said. So what they meant to say is, instead of inventing something, they're cutting intro packs down from 5 types to 2, and then putting a Planeswalker on the front. It's kind of a hybrid between the sample decks and the dual decks, because, Planeswalker on the front. Overall, I think it's a good product. I think it's smart, even though they're being really weird about how they announced it. And it's only like $14.99 or something, which is pretty decent. Now, if you've ever seen somebody buy the dual decks, you've probably also seen them show up to F&M with it and try to play with it and find out very quickly that cards like Village Bellringer are not legal in Standard. I'm not even sure they're legal in Modern, honestly. The dual decks, they just make up cards and they make up mechanics that don't exist anywhere else in the game, and no, they are not legal to play with at Friday Night Magic. So why would they have like an ultra premium deck that's really expensive and always contains a Planeswalker and has pretty powerful cards that you can't actually go to F&M with? It's only for casual, but I think the price on those was pretty high. So I think they wanted something like that, with like the flashy Planeswalker mythic foil on the front, but they also wanted it to be playable, and that's why it's a smart product, so I'm in support of it. Also, it comes with 2 boosters and an entire playable deck. And it's not too bad of a deck from what I saw, either one of them. One's Chandra, one's Nyssa, and that's pretty cool. They're part of the storyline and lots of flavor, and, the whole deck kind of matches the theme of the Planeswalker. It's just nice. It's a nice product. But here's where they went off the rails with it, because, once again, pretty much just lying to our faces. Or so people suspected. So that's what we're going to get into is, was it true or not? They said that Kaladesh was going to have 274 cards in it. That's what they announced. When the first leak came out, or spoiler, whatever the hell, what's the difference? The card on the bottom said /264, and people are thinking, well, that's a difference of 10. What did they do? Well, they made it so you could open 264 different cards in the booster packs, maybe plus or minus counting lands or whatever. I never know how they do that. And then there's 10 that you can only get from the pre-made deck products. And they've done this before, like they did it with the card Nightmare in Origins. If you wanted to play with the Nightmare, that was fine, because all of the cards that were not available in the boosters were reprints. So you could just go back to M15 and buy that Nightmare card, buy it single, and then put that in your deck if you really wanted it. And honestly, most of the cards completely sucked. I think they just added them as an afterthought so that people would have, standard playable intro packs, I guess, or something like that. Well, this time around with the 2 Planeswalker decks, they are absolutely not reprints. They are brand new cards. So people said, oh, I see what you're doing. You're taking people who go to F&M and build serious competitive decks, and you're forcing them to buy these Planeswalker decks because they're going to need the cards in them. In fact, if there's only 2 copies of the card, they're going to need 2 Planeswalker decks to get 4 copies of the card. So that's great. So, of course, the staff at Wizards responded saying, hey, we guarantee you the cards in the sets, or in the Planeswalker decks, are not going to be competitive. They're not going to be sought after. They're going to be like just low-powered, casual-style cards. And my response to that was, well, that is almost word for word what the head of R&D said about the card collected company. The Wizards R&D department obviously does not know what the hell they're doing. They let way too powerful of cards slip through and underestimate pretty much everything. Hey, you guys ever heard of this card called Siege Rhino? There's like 100 other examples. You could say they screwed up with Treasure Cruise, but that's kind of a different story. Spell Queller, though, there's one. So now we finally have the list of all 10 unique cards, and so we can just check it, see if what they said was true. So let's go through them. First, we have Chandra on the cover of the Chandra deck, of course. She is a 5 loyalty planeswalker for 6, and she is very much a watered-down version of the Chandra that's actually good and actually in Kaladesh, like the main booster box. You +2 her, and she deals 2 damage to each opponent. I mean, that's not that great, not that bad, I guess. -3, which you can only do once without plussing her. That's 4 damage to target creature, so she has limited ability to protect herself by, blowing up one creature, but then she already -3'd herself, so it only deals 4 damage. Like, that's a really narrow band of what she can blow up to protect herself from getting hit without the fact that she -3'd herself and effectively hit herself for 3. So it's good, but it's not that good. And then her -10 is pretty good of a nuke, I would say. 6 damage to target player and each creature he or she controls. I mean, that pretty much blows up everything. So it's not instantly game-winning, but it's pretty good. The problem is you would go 5, 7, 9, 11, and then -10 her. That's an awful lot of turns that they could potentially hit her. In that entire time, she could only take 1 damage. So as a planeswalker, she's really not that good. And to really drive the point home, they made her cost 6. That's a little expensive. So I would say you could definitely live without her. So let's take a look at the rest of her deck. The first unique card is a 4-cost instant that deals 4 damage to target creature or player. So 4 damage coming at a creature or a player as an instant is pretty darn good, but keep in mind Lightning Bolt is 3 damage for 1 mana as an instant. Of course, Lightning Bolt is an anomaly mathematically compared to quite literally every other red instant in the game. Or I should say in Modern. So that might not be the correct one to compare it to, but 4 damage for 4 mana, that's just bad. I mean, just the mana equals the damage. I don't care how flexible it is or what kind of instant, nothing. It's just not that good of a spell. There are so many better burn spells, I think we can give this one a pass. You would not need this in your standard deck. Next up, we've got Liberating Combustion, which the artwork is pretty darn cool on, but other than that, it's a 5-cost sorcery, so it's already probably pretty bad, but it is a rare, so let's see. Deals 6 damage to target creature, so that creature's probably dead, but 6 damage for 5 as a sorcery, not great. But then you may search your library and or graveyard, which is pretty cool, for a card named Chandra Pyrogenius, which is specifically the Chandra that is in the Planeswalker deck. You may reveal it, put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, then shuffle it. So if they already killed her once, you can bring her back and maybe take out the creature that killed her for 5. It's not bad, but the fact that it refers to the crappy Chandra by name and you might not want her in your deck in the first place, it's not great. And it's a sorcery, it's expensive. I mean, okay, let's give this one a pass too. Next up, Renegade Firebrand. It's a human warrior creature, which, little bit of synergy there potentially with another deck. Humans is primarily white, of course. That sounds so racist. And this one costs 3, and it's a 3/2, so it's already not that great of a creature, just maybe a little bit below average. But his effect is, as long as you control a Chandra Planeswalker, any Chandra Planeswalker, not specifically the one in this set, Renegade Firebrand gets +1/+0 and has first strike. A 4/2 first striker for 3 as long as Chandra's on the field, or a 3/2 for 3, which is just kind of medium-ish. That is really, really good, and it's any Chandra Planeswalker. They could have referred to just the one in the Planeswalker deck. That would have been a lot smarter. So you could be playing with the number 1 most expensive card in all of Kaladesh right now, which is the Chandra card, the good one, and get this guy out and have a 4/2 first striker. He could stop anything from killing Chandra. Anything. Plus, that Chandra flips up cards and lets you cast them. If you flip up this guy, he's the best bodyguard for 3 you could ever see. So I would say that specifically in a Chandra deck, you would want this guy in there under some circumstances, depending upon your, deck building style and what else is in the deck and what the overall strategy is. So this one I'm on the fence about. I mean, if he were to go in a Chandra deck, 4 first strike is like Gisela good. Like that's insane. So one potential card that you would want to actually put in a standard deck. The next card though from this deck is Stone Quarry. It enters battlefield tapped and is a dual color. I mean, total potato land, not very useful. So 1 out of 5 for the Chandra deck, and it's a little specific, but, okay, if that's the only one, I'll give him a pass. But let's move to the Nyssa deck. It makes sense logically to start with Nyssa herself, Nyssa Nature's Artisan. She costs 6 and she has 5 loyalty, obviously for balancing reasons between the two Planeswalker decks, so exactly the same there. Her +3 is you gain 3 life. I mean, it's not great. It is a +3 though. I mean, she gets 3 loyalty, but look at the cost of her ultimate. Oh my gosh. So with that being the only plus, I mean, that's pretty bad. Her -4, though, is not too bad, but it would leave her at 1. You reveal the top 2 cards of your library, and then put all land cards from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest in your hand. So bare minimum draw 2, and then if any of them are a land, you put them out for free. Now, you might notice something mysteriously missing. It doesn't say they enter the battlefield tapped. Okay, go ahead and think of another card that brings lands onto the battlefield and doesn't say that they come in tapped. Yeah, I couldn't think of any either. That is quite possibly the most powerful effect I've ever read in the last 5 years. Okay, at least for land dump it is. Evolving Wilds comes in tapped. Explosive Vegetation, tapped. Nissa's Pilgrimage, Nissa's Revelation, tapped. There's like 3 more in Origins, tapped. Dropping in lands untapped is insane. That is completely insane. You can immediately tap them for mana, and landfall is still a thing, people. So her -4 is completely insane. If you -4 her once, then +3 her, you can -4 her again and suicide her, and then you get 4 free cards, potentially with, 0 to 4 of them being lands that you can now drop for free, on top of the fact that you already probably dropped a land that turn. I mean, that's just so powerful. Her -12 is creatures you control get +5/+5 and gain trample until end of turn. That is almost definitely game winning. So her ultimate basically wins the game instantly under almost all circumstances. I mean, +5/+5, not even just sets them to 5/5. I mean, at least it doesn't animate lands, but I mean, +5 in trample, yeah, that'll end the game. So her pathetic +3 is a giant drawback, but her -4 is unreal. That is one of the most powerful Planeswalker abilities I have ever seen. And then her -12 wins the game. So I would say that you could reasonably put this Nyssa in a deck just by herself. You only get 1 per pack too, so if you want 4, you got to drop $60 approximately on 4 Nyssa decks and then disassemble them. I would say that she is obviously weaker than the other Nyssa, but there's nothing stopping you from putting 4 of these and 4 of those in a standard deck. So I think they went a little overboard with this one. Do keep in mind that the +3 life means, okay, she's on the field, she's getting bigger, now she's at 8 loyalty. Do I swing at the person who now potentially has 23 life, or do I swing at Nyssa, who is now 3 larger? So it's kind of like +6 distributed between like 2 players, I guess you could say. It is a little bit more powerful than it looks, so I am very impressed with this one, and I think she's a little OP. Okay, not OP at all, but OP as in you would want to put her in her deck. So just P, really? Just powerful? Bad news, it gets worse from here. We've got Guardian of the Great Conduit. He costs 4, but only one of them is actually green. That's not too bad. He's an elemental, so whoop-de-doo, nothing much going on there. But he is a 2/4 with reach, and he does not have defender. So a 2/4 with reach can block quite a few things without dying, and then he can swing and probably not die on the attack. So he's an okay creature. There's really not that many cards in Standard that are similar to him. For 2 mana, you can bring out Noose Constrictor, which is a 2/2 snake with reach, and if you discard a card, he gets +1/+1 till end of turn. So that's a 3/3 reach creature for 2, although discarding a card is pretty bad. Then you've got a 3/3 spider for 3 called the Gloom Widow. It can only block creatures with flying, and it's only a 3/3, so not quite as good. High Spider Artisan is a 0/3 elf, and he has Fabricate, so he could be a 1/4 elf for only 3, and he has Reach, so that's arguably a little bit better with Fabricate. I mean, I'll take the 1/4 over the 2/4 with permanent Reach for 1 mana less. They're pretty darn close, though. Now we got Netcaster Spider, that's a 2/3 with Reach. Whenever it blocks a creature with flying, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So that's a 4/3, but still only 3 toughness, and it's for 3. So, I mean, it's about on par with it. You've got the Giant Mantis, which is a 2/4 insect with Reach for 4. So basically the exact same creature, except as long as you control a Nyssa Planeswalker, Guardian of the Great Conduit gets +2/+0 and has Vigilance. So you can control any Planeswalker by the name of Nyssa, so the really good one or the pretty good one, and it has +2/+0 and Vigilance. So that's a 4/4 Vigilant Reach creature for 4. I mean, that's really good. That beats anything else in Standard. This is an okay Reach creature if you're not playing a Nyssa Planeswalker in your deck, and it's an exceptional best of the best Reach creature if you're playing with even one copy of Nyssa, basically. So being the best in its class at what it does, that's, I mean, it's playable in Standard. I would absolutely put this in a Standard deck under the right circumstances. Maybe a sideboard card in case I'm going up against flyers, but I mean, a 4/4 Vigilant Reach creature, I'd be more than happy swinging with that every turn regardless. So they really screwed up that one. Next up, we've got the Terrain Elemental. It's just straight up a 3/2 for 2. So, I mean, it's not that great. It is so much worse than Avatar of the Resolute, which is unfortunately illegal now. That one cycled out with, probably Dragons, I think. I don't even remember. That was like a 3/2 that might get counters and had Reach. That thing was insane. So this is not that great. I mean, but it's still a 3/2 for 2. I mean, that could fit in a deck. A quick search on the Gatherer said that there really is nothing green that can even come close to this. Well, at least as far as like just plain vanilla 3 attack, 2 toughness, 4/2. So once again, they dropped the ball because I would totally put this in a deck. And if I want to put it in a deck, I have to buy the Planeswalker deck and then disassemble it, which is what they said I wouldn't have to do. Next up, we've got Verdant Crescendo. It costs 4. This should look awfully familiar. It's a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield. Tapped. Oh, that's right. It comes out tapped, like every other spell ever printed in all of MTG, just about. That's kind of important. That's why the other Nyssa is freaking mental. And then, guess what else you get to do? Search your library and your graveyard for a card named Nyssa Nature's Artisan, which is the crappier, inferior Nyssa, and reveal it and put it in your hand. Then shuffle your library. You might have noticed the horribly inconsistent ending compared to the other one. I guess with this one, even if you didn't look through your library, you're still shuffling your library. The other one says if you didn't bother to shuffle or look through your library, then don't shuffle it. Not exactly word for word. So yeah, I mean, you get a free land, comes in tapped. I mean, it's not that great for 4. It's like a really crappy explosive vegetation. But then you get a Nyssa, but it's the crappy Nyssa. But you could go get her and then bring out the Guardian, or go get her if you already had the Guardian. I mean, the whole deck works together. You just throw the whole damn deck in Standard and just modify it and tweak it and play it. I think that was the point, except, well, now you're building a Standard deck and you're required to buy this pre-made deck if you want any of these cards. And that's, like I said, what they said you wouldn't need to do. This card, I mean, it's not that competitive. If you look at like some of the 3-color decks that are all tricky and super synergy and control heavy and all that, it would probably still lose, but I could still see people wanting some of these cards to fill a very specific hole in a very specific type of deck. Now the 5th card is, of course, Woodland Stream. Comes in tab, dual land, total potato land again, totally useless. I think there might even be like another one in this color that just comes in tapped from like Eldritch Moon or something. I don't even remember. So at least the color fixing they didn't utterly screw up. So overall, I counted about 5 cards total that you would maybe want to play with in Standard. That's pretty far away from what they said would happen. When I first saw Chandra, I'm like, oh my god, they seriously took the other Chandra and made her more expensive, weaker, and worse. Okay, now I get it. It's going to be a bunch of plain vanilla crappy creatures and spells that cost too much and are all sorceries, whatever, no problem. Well, some of the cards are way better than I thought, and that's a little bit of a problem. So what do you guys think? Are they as good as I think they are? Are they as good as they look? Or would you just bypass them all and never consider them ever for any kind of standard deck? Are they just not good enough compared to the power of the other creatures? And I think a reasonable, argument could be made, but still a 3/2 for 2 is just universally a good creature. I mean, there's certain, 4/4 Vigilant Reach for 4, that's just good. I mean, it's just absolutely good. That Nyssa bringing out up to 2 lands for free, untapped, that you can use immediately. Oh boy. I mean, it's not like you can say that's bad or not useful. I mean, I'd give a lot of these cards a 6 out of 10 or like a 7 out of 10, but it's far from like the 1 out of 10 that they made it sound like. So let me know what you think about this. Did they kind of just want to make the decks competitive and kind of good and they went a little overboard, or is it just an outright lie, outright scam to make standard players buy another product that they have to disassemble just to get the cards, because it's the only place to get these cards? I'm on the fence. I think they just wanted the decks to actually be good. But I could totally see them slipping in like 1 or 2 for sure that they said, yeah, people might want that card. It just really seems like something Wizards would do, so that's the way I'm leaning. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next video.